What's going on the internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. Today we're going to take a look at the new Powkiddy RGB10X. This is one of a long line of RGB10 devices, and this one here is budget friendly, and it's not really missing a whole lot. This might be right for a lot of people, and we're going to find out why. Let's take a look. Alright, we have the RGB10X here. This is in a traditional Powkiddy box, nothing special about it. This is actually the box that usually screams, we're going to sell it under a different name. So it probably didn't have any stamps on it to begin with, and they did that afterwards. This handheld does come in 6 different colors, though when I got a hold of it, there's only 3 available, but apparently there are some new colors coming out. The transparent purple wasn't available, and so hopefully maybe these other 3 colors over here will come out, because right now it's just these that are on that side over there. Other than that, not a whole lot on the box. We will take a look inside. Alright, start off we have an origami accordion. I never end up landing on the English side. Alright, so we got this over here. Might want to hold on to this because there are some function keys on this handheld that I have no idea what they're for. So I might need to hold on to this myself and just take a look. Looks like maybe it's just brightness reduction. I'm not really sure. I don't know what I'm doing yet. So we'll take a look at some of this stuff here. We have the handheld itself. And obviously we do have our Type-C, or Type-A to Type-C charger that comes in the box here. There's no screen cover for this one, which is, I don't know, I guess this is only 3.5 inch screen, but with how screeny this is in comparison to some of their other handhelds. And inside here, we have our handheld. This is a lot more darker than I thought. It's almost like a more brown than I thought it was going to be. Interestingly enough, this looks a lot whiter in the pictures. Actually, it looks whiter on my camera, too, than it does in person. So maybe this will turn out all right. I don't know. I was hoping for it to be a real light gray. More of an SNES gray. Not like a old SNES gray, but like the new out-of-the-box color. But you know what? That'll do. It's just fine. It'll be just fine. They didn't have any of the other colors I really want. Maybe yellow. I thought about ordering yellow, but I prefer to order things like that in transparent colors usually. After I got scared off by that one knockoff RGB30 that felt like Fisher-Price plastic. I haven't ordered a yellow handheld since. Speaking of plastics and the way handhelds feel, this feels a lot like the same plastic they use here on the V10s. It's like a more soft plastic. I really like it. It's something Powkiddy's been doing a little bit more of lately, and it feels soft. I don't know why. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that makes it feel cheap, but it doesn't make it feel cheap to me. It just feels soft to the touch, which to me means less fingerprints maybe on the paint itself, but maybe the paint's not going to last as long. I don't know. Guess we'll find out over time. But now that we got that unboxing out of the way, let's go through the I/O here real quick. On the top here, we do have our shoulder buttons, both right and left on micro switches. We do have our power switch and our volume up and down, and we do have a reset button along with a Type-C hole for charging. Charging's on the top on this bad boy, of course. And oddly enough, the volume is in the wrong order, as it always is on Powkiddy handhelds. Interesting. On the back here, we do have the X to show that this is the RGB10X. X is going to give it to you. I was going to put some DMX in here, but I think that'll get copyright strikes, so we're just going to skip that altogether. But just, you know, imagine that song and you know playing in your head while we're looking back here. Really cool design. It's like almost like the old Xbox logo. Maybe not. I don't know. For some reason, that's what it's reminding me of, but I could be incorrect on that one. On the right-hand side over here, we do have a card hole. This one here is your game hole, so all your fantastic stuff that's going to happen is going to be in this hole over here. I didn't get an additional card with this. I own my own ROMs. I'd prefer to use those anyways. On the left-hand side here, we do also have another hole for a memory card. This one here is going to be for your operating system. Oddly, they don't line up. Why is that? Oh, my OCD is going to get the best of me here. This is right in the middle. Oh, wow. Why would they not line them up? Hoofda. Alright, on the bottom here, we do have 2 vents out here that do absolutely nothing. This is not where the speakers are. This does have a single 2-watt speaker in it, and that speaker, well, I guess it maybe comes out of this one a little bit, but that's not what it's made for. I have no idea why these vents are down here. We do have an OTG hole here, and then a 3.5 hole. I think that the OTG hole and the charging hole should be swapped, because you're never going to be able to dock this thing, and you're not going to want a dongle hanging out right next to your hand. Maybe we'll demonstrate that here in a minute. On the front here, we do have our plus and minus buttons. I believe these are only used for brightness, but I'm not really sure. I just glanced at the manual with you, so that's the only thing that I saw these being used for. And the reason being is, as we just saw, we have volume on the top. These buttons here on the V10, and this is why I think it's being compared a lot to the V10, is because the face looks like the V10. But these buttons here are used for brightness and for volume and stuff like that. On this handheld, we already have buttons for the things, so I don't know what that's going to be used for. And I also do believe that because this is running ArkOS, the RetroArch menu is actually going to be a Select X, so you're not going to use those for that either. So I'm not sure what's up. This does have a really nice D-pad. It's slightly different than the V10. The button itself is a little thicker. Yeah, it's got a good pivot to it. I don't know if it's quite as good as the 40XXV that I just reviewed recently from Ambernick, but this is pretty darn close. This is a good D-pad. Maybe we're finally getting this figured out across the board from all the manufacturers. Then I won't have to keep replacing D-pads in my handhelds. That would be kind of nice. So we got a good D-pad there with a good pivot. Over here we do have our joystick, which does have a click. So we do have L3 or R3, I guess. There's only one thing. No, it's going to be L3. Our face buttons over here, they look all super fantastic here. They do travel pretty well. They don't seem to be getting hooked. We'll put you on the cam here. So they seem to get a decent amount of travel and all that kind of stuff. Then we got start and select here, and these are going to be on really tight switches, obviously loud. So these are loud, and so are these. Everything else is quiet. So, I mean, we shouldn't have to use these other ones very often, unless you're playing, I think, is it Game Boy Advance that always has you hit the start button? I can't remember. Now that we got that out of the way, we will go through the specs here real quick, and then we'll get into a little bit of gameplay here for you, and we'll talk about some stuff. So this is running Linux. It's ArkOS 2.0. It has a 3.5-inch 4.3 IPS OCA display at 640 by 480. Pretty common display resolution and pixelation, so kind of right there in the middle of the ballpark. It does have an RK3326 64-bit A53 with a Mali G31 at 60 Hz. It has 1 GB of RAM. It has SD storage up to 256 gigs. We looked at that on the game side. 2800 milliamp battery, good up to 8 hours. I haven't gotten to test that yet, but you know there'll be a follow-up video, so I'll let you know then. Its input is a Type-C 5V 2 amp. As I do with all Powkiddys, I recommend using the actual charger they gave you. Use that, go from there. That's going to be your absolute best bet with the Powkiddy device. It does have that 2-watt cavity speaker, which this is the speaker hole right here, which I forgot to point out. This is actually where the speaker is, so you might get a little bit of noise out of this bottom one, but for the most part, it's coming right out of here on the side. And it's actually in a decent spot for where your hands sit on here. You don't really cover it. You got that going for you. It's not too bad. Then you do have that 3.5 headphone hole right there in the bottom. So this handheld fits in kind of a weird place, and the reason why I pulled out the 3.5XXH is spec-wise, they're pretty darn close to being the same, except for the H has the H700 SoC in it, so this is going to be a more powerful handheld. It is about twice the price, so you got that going for you, but when you're looking at it, I mean, you can just tell how much bigger the bezel is on the screen, things like that, just because they are both 3.5-inch screens. The stock sticks on the 3.5XXH do have cardinal snapping. I haven't got to test them on this one yet, but mine have Hall sticks in them, and I've fixed all that. Other than that, the two devices are about the same size, so I just thought it'd be a good comparison just because they are roughly the same. The H is slightly smaller, it looks like, but they have similar buttons, similar layout, other than the double sticks on this one. I think the H is going to be heavier too. Here, we can test that real quick. Take a look and see here. So our H, or this comes in at 163 grams. I think our H is 180 something, if I remember right. 184 grams. So the H is definitely heavier. I'm just curious now how heavy the V is. That V10, 166, so about the same as our RGB10X that we have here. So not too bad, not too bad. It's gonna give you a comparative weight, but I don't really have one. How about my Red Bull? How much? Oh, well, my Red Bull weighs more weighs way more. Oh, that's coming in at 564. Never mind. Maybe up against these 3D glasses for playing Virtual Boy. Oh, 5 grams. I didn't actually think this was gonna register. Okay, well that was dumb. All right, let's move on. So because it's a 3326, we don't need to do a whole lot of gameplay. I mean, we've seen a lot of videos that with gameplay with the 3326 in it. Oh, that looks really nice. It's RGB10. I didn't notice that the first time I turned this on. Sweet. That actually is like the opening screen to the Logitech G Cloud. Looks almost identical to that. Yes, we are on 2.0. This is the July build of ArkOS. I'm guessing that this is the build made for the RGB10S, probably, because that's a single joystick. It's just reversed with the D-pad. My scale just decided to yeet itself across the room. I don't know what the hell that was all about. All right, so we'll go through the systems that's got on here. It's gonna be the same as pretty much every 3326. Make sure that my poker cam's in the right spot here for you. You guys can hear my dog snoring in the background and we're having a thunderstorm. Fantastic filming conditions I got going on right now. All right, so pretty much the same stuff we see on all these. Pretty good stuff here. I am kind of surprised to see DS on here. Maybe we'll try a DS game. I don't know what's on here. Some Harry Potter stuff. Oh, it's Lego stuff. Gotcha. And Rayman DS. I don't think I've ever played Rayman. There you have. Rune Factory. Sweet. So yes, we got some DS on here, which is kind of surprising. I'm also surprised to see, even though we know it'll work on this, I mean, N64 just seems kind of like a waste. The two systems that are going to be the ones you'd think you'd want to play on this, that you really won't want to play on it, are going to be PSP and Game Boy Advance. If you're looking for playing either of those, you want more of a 16:9. Then I'd recommend going with the V10. I know it's a different form factor. This is sort of a vertical. I don't know, it's hard to call this a vertical with how stubby it is, but it's kind of a vertical horizontal. This has a perfect 4x resolution screen, 4 GBA, right out of the box without even having to up the resolution. So the screen itself is, I don't know why they didn't use that screen in here, to be honest with you. That's actually closer to the screen of this one's predecessor, would have been that size. So I'm not sure why they didn't go with that. Maybe they didn't have enough of them. That's a beautiful screen. This one actually is a pretty nice screen as well. It's just not going to, with that 4:3 aspect ratio, you're probably not going to want to play a whole lot of GBA or PSP just because you're going to get a lot of letterboxing on there. Everything else on here, for the most part, will play through just fine. Most of this you can get away with stretching it, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I'll take a look at a couple games here real quick, and then I will kind of give you my notes. This is just a first look video. I just pulled out of the box. I got about 15 minutes with it earlier today, and my son played with it for a while, so if he likes it, normally he doesn't like playing with these things, so he did find Grand Theft Auto on it though, so you know, that makes a difference, I guess. We'll quickly just play a few games. We have lots of footage out there of 3326s, just to make sure this isn't doing something crazy and it's not actually a 3326. We've caught a couple of handhelds recently that didn't have the right chips in them just based off their performance, and then opening them up to find out that, yep, they didn't have the right chips in them. So we will play a couple of games, and then I will circle back with you. So we're playing Castlevania X here on Super Nintendo. Figured it looks like a Super Nintendo, so we should probably play a Super Nintendo type game on here. I almost missed it. Ah! Well, that wasn't good. How did I miss that? Aw. Well, fine. We'll play a different game. Before we go any further, though, I do want to show you something. So if you want to get into your RetroArch menu, you have to hold select and hit X. This is really wonky. It's not a good experience. I don't know why you're not using these menu buttons up here, but this is your way in. But you do, because it is RetroArch, you can hit select start as well. Also awkward to do, but to get out of a game. I have no idea what this game is. It's called like Alien Force or something. It's on Sega Genesis. It seems like it's almost like a Contra, so it seems like a good way to test some diagonals out. Does my gun only extend if I hold the button? What? Why am I upside down? I have no idea what this game is. I feel like it's some kind of Metroidvania that I just am not understanding. Good, it's over. Next game. I have never seen this game before. I have no idea. Some cave racing game on 32X. I don't know why I've never seen it. It's got cool graphics. I kind of like it. These graphics are kind of my style. Also, I can't figure out what the brake is. I hit some button and she yells at him, but I don't think that's the brake. Oofed it. It's kind of neat. Seems to be playing really well. It's definitely playing at full speed, which is neat. Oh no! No, get away! It's like when you wipe out in Forza. This is just like Forza. Yeah. You wipe out and you can't get back on the road, so you lose. Oh, I burned up on the side of the road. Don't tell my son I'm playing on his game. Well, I just played on his save, I guess. Oh, good, he was just arrested. Perfect. So, I bet they take your guns too, don't they? Yep, sure do. Let's steal this ambulance. This is on PSP. There's a gun out here. There was a gun out there. Where'd it go? I always forget on PSP you gotta like turn yourself around. Give me your money. Oh, there it is. Maybe. Did I get it? Yeah. Bye. So yeah, this is good on PSP. Moving right along. Oh yeah, and on this one you do actually use this for your menu button. Oddly enough, yeah, it's a saved game. But if you want to not use it, you can still do select start to get out. I don't get it, but it's there. Okay, so we're gonna try a little Rayman out here on DS. You can switch the screen, or you can have both screens if you want. Switch which one's on top, which one's on bottom. Yes, I'm still not seeing any reason for this other screen, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I know there is games like that on DS, but this is working great. I mean, this game's playing fine. Guess we could have both of them up if we wanted to, but I don't think I need to know anything on there. It just tells me how many lives I have. Oops, probably one less now. So some games you might want to play side by side. I have plenty of games that I would prefer that, but again, I don't think this game you need it at all. I think I just got lucky and picked the right game. Actually, they're probably all set up that way, honestly, that are on the card already. Okay, well, we know this works. Companies that put this game on are just glutton for punishment because it's never going to work. Not on a 3326. Not on this SoC. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. No. So we have some major frame skip that's already set up in the core on this game, and it's definitely running about 12 FPS actually without the frame skip on. I didn't set it up that way, that's just how it came, but I'm gonna guess they were trying to salvage it, which in parts of this game you probably could, because it will get to the point where there's not so many cars on the screen, and it'll speed up, but this is pretty garbage. Okay, I just wanted to test it. I kind of figured it would fail on this, but if it was going to fail on any game, it was going to be this one. So I'm going through because I was going to play a Dreamcast game, because I was like, let's just keep punishing this thing, but though it does say it can play Dreamcast, it looks like they were smart enough not to put Dreamcast on here, because it would not play on here. Not well anyways. Alright, cool. Let's talk about this thing a little bit. So I have to say this is a win. The fact that this is a sub $40 handheld, I think that you're not going to get a better deal with a 3326 as far as build quality and everything goes, on top of the fact that this is just a nice overall handheld. The D-pad on here is really good. Not quite the pivot that I saw on the RG40XX-V, but very close to that pivot. That one is probably the best so far D-pad of the year. This one is a very, very close second. So something just to be aware of. We know it would pass the Contra test, or whatever the hell game I was playing on Sega test, Alien something. I think this is a good one. I'm not upset with my procurement here, so I don't think you would be either. Now that we got a little gameplay, I got to test my Wi-Fi out on here to make sure that it works, and it does. It's scraping right now. We're going through and scraping all the box art. Great deal, so I can do my retro achievements on here. I do have to use a dongle. It kind of sucks, but that is one of the biggest negatives I have for this. But for a sub $40 handheld, I have a hard time not recommending this. The screen is pretty good. It's only at 60% right now brightness, so the screen will definitely pick up even more on brightness when you're using it. For the price, you can't really go wrong. In games like Cruising, you do have to be aware of how uncomfortable those games will be, just because you're going to be using the shoulder button and, you know, use the little switch style joystick down here at the bottom at the same time. That will be kind of a kerfuffle, but when you're playing anything else, it seems to work just fine. Worked really good for even switching camera modes. I just using the L1 button when I was playing Grand Theft Auto, so I don't see any issues with any of that. I still don't think you're going to want to get this if you're playing PSP or Game Boy Advance, just because those are 16:9 systems, but for the most part, your Nintendo library, stuff like that, they're going to look great on here. Here's a 4.3. I'd say probably more than half the handhelds that we review are a 4.3. You know, you're going to get decent real estate on here, and you're not going to be wasting a lot of screen, so I think it'll be fine. And honestly, on a 3.5-inch screen, I mean, I know people are going to get mad when I say this, but you can usually just get away with letting it run full screen. It's not going to make that big of a bunch of a difference on a 3.5-inch screen. If it was bigger, maybe, but on 3.5, I think you could probably get away with it. But don't tell my viewers that don't like it when I say that. Right now, they're hearing something completely else. On that note, yes, I think that sub 40 can't go wrong. If you want to spend twice as much, get yourself an RG35XXH. A little bit more powerful, but it is twice as much money. But you do gain another joystick. So, you know, you pay twice as much for the other joystick. But other than that, I mean, you can run ArkOS, all that kind of stuff. So you can pretty much run them the same if you really wanted to. So a lot of value here in the Powkiddy. Well done, Powkiddy. The soft plastic is fantastic. I don't know why I like the feel of it, but I do. Probably just means it's cheap. I don't know any better, and I don't care right now because I like the way it feels. But that's all I got for today. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, subscribe. Did I miss something? Did I say something twice there? I don't even know. And also, don't forget to share this video with your friends. You can see there's a couple of videos up on the top here too. They're telling you like, hey, watch me, watch me. Well, YouTube picked those up for you, saying that, you know, it thought you were going to like them. So do us both a favor and watch them, because my videos haven't been dropping in the algorithm lately. YouTube's trying to fix it. Nobody knows what's going on. So any watch that I get helps, because most people aren't seeing these as they post. But I still like making them, and someday they'll be up there with those other videos. So in the meantime, check those ones out. Also, there's a floating subscription button over there. If you haven't hit it already while I've been rambling on, it's still right there if you want to hit it. But that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.